Okay, everyone, welcome back to another blockchain news video. Today we have number 18, and we're going to keep it going here. We have some very big news outside of the market being very bullish, very green today. We did see Bitcoin hit right above 9,700. We're going to be touching up on that. We have Bitcoin Cash running up almost 14%, Bitcoin SV up 13%, Ethereum on a run. We have some news on Ethereum. And I'm going to ask you guys to watch all the way to the end for this one, guys. There's very big news. I am going to talk on some articles a little bit more towards the end. And you guys are going to see why 2020 is going to be one of the absolute craziest years for cryptocurrency as a whole. So not only just Bitcoin, but also the altcoins. I think this the hype is just too real now. You know, some of the news that's come out, it's absolutely insane that we are 2 months into the year, and the news that we're going to discuss just today alone to wrap up some of the other videos that I've done up until this point have really made things go very fast, starting with the World Economic Forum earlier in January. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in. So right now we have Bitcoin at that 9,600 level, Ethereum at 205, right over that 200 level, XRP at around 27 cents, 28 cents almost, Bitcoin Cash 437, Bitcoin SV 302. So we got some great prices moving there on the top five. And as you can see, the entire market as a whole is in the green right now. So very good percentages across the board. Seems like many coins are up 5%, 6%, 7%, EOS all the way up to 4.53. Interesting that there's such a run there. Tezos up 12% almost. There's some good news on Tezos, and we're going to be touching up on that also. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the news, guys. Today we have Bitcoin obviously rising above 9,700, reaching a 3-month high, defying absolute expectations of a pullback. So I remember calling it here on the previous video. I had stated that there was just, if we did pull back, it was not going to hold. I think we are in a very bullish sentiment right now. There's too much information that's come out ever since the beginning of the year and leading up to the Bitcoin halving. So there's too much buying pressure right now. Even if this were to be some form of fake out and we were to retrace, I wouldn't see much retracement, and I think bulls would just hold on to the market. So right now we saw all the way up to 97.75. And then we saw a small sell-off all the way to 95.59. Current level sitting at 96.19 here at CoinDesk. Keep that in mind, guys. So we're looking really good right now with the entire crypto market, and we have some interesting information in regards to the alts. So we were seeing information on Twitter that it was the alts time to move, but Bitcoin doesn't want to let up. Obviously, we got the halving coming up, and there's a lot of bullish information on it. So moving forward, we have Binance is now going to let users borrow against crypto holdings to fund future trades. Pretty interesting, the timing here that CZ is going to be taking for allowing users to have the new cross collateral feature that he's implementing. So if you're holding your assets here on Binance, you can begin to borrow against those holdings. Currently, you can borrow Tether USDT at 0% interest against holdings of Binance USD, which is Binance's version of the USD stablecoin. It is saying that the cross-collateral is much anticipated feature for traders on Binance, allowing more flexibility and more choices of deposits to open future positions. So also keep in mind that we did talk a little bit about that fee structure that's going to be encouraging market makers to add liquidity to its futures platform. So extremely bullish news here from the Binance department, Binance Exchange. They're doing everything in their power to not only lead, but just be obnoxious in the way that they're doing it. It's just amazing. It's amazing to be able to see this. So you're going to have that cross collateral feature now. Careful with the future trading space, guys. You can get wrecked. You can lose a lot of crypto, but this is just another tool here to help you if you're feeling lucky, or perhaps you're on the more professional side. You can take advantage of this and make more crypto. Moving forward, we do have Galaxy's Novogratz spoke on XRP, stating that it will underperform again this year. So there are some claims that he does make that I did want to cover on this, and some of my, I guess, annoyances with Ripple as a whole is how much XRP they do hold, and then how much they are selling back to the exchanges and the market. So he does mention that he does state that Ripple, the company, owns 60 billion of the coins of XRP. That's a lot of it, and he does unfortunately compare it to XRP being the situation where pretty much a company continuously sells its shares. Of course, that did bring Ripple out to want to make a statement, and because they have been fighting that lawsuit with XRP. They don't want XRP to be an unregistered security that would get them in trouble, and they've been fighting that back with the District of California. So that's been a case that's been going on for quite some time. So that did bring Ripple to respond, but I guess Mike Novogratz was being very, straightforward when he's pretty much saying, hey, if I buy a stock and someone's selling 10 billion worth of it at some price, it makes me feel less excited to buy the stock. And that's how I think I feel, right? We look at coins like Bitcoin that are deflationary and stuff like that. You're not going to want to get involved, off the top of your head, right? Without doing some more research. You might see this and you might be afraid to get involved with XRP as a holding. So obviously Ripple comes out and does, give that whole statement where, hey, XRP is a digital asset. It's not a stock, yada, yada. They're trying to carry on that narrative. So obviously it doesn't get deemed a security. And I rightfully believe so. XRP is a utility for payment. So I do second that thought and statement here from Ripple. I've seen it. I do get frustrated by the way that they do or have had in the past sold off XRP into the market, but I am seeing utility being in place for XRP. We are seeing projects that are getting built from Spring. We are seeing companies like MoneyGram, Bitso stated here that are using RippleNet's on-demand liquidity, and all that means is pretty much what was known as XRapid, which is XRP as a payments provider for border-to-border transactions. So right now we do see a reduction in quarterly token sales since last year. As we discussed in the previous video, we had back in Q1 and Q2 of 2019, there were some complaints, right, where people started to say, hey, Ripple, can you kind of cut back down on having to sell? So those first 2 big quarters they did sell, and in Q2 they had 251 million sold, and in Q4 they had none. Now, back in Q1 this year, they have sold some off. So, we don't have specification on how much Ripple plans to sell XRP. But, the big thing here is that increase in circulating supply is kind of the kicker. So, some of these statements that were made by the Ripple representatives that spoke out stated that the supply from Ripple distributions of XRP is actually lower than the increase in circulating supply of Bitcoin, BCH, Ethereum, etc. I'm not sure whether numbers come out there when they're making that statement. It's kind of hard when we compare millions to billions, right? I'm no mathematician, but I firmly believe that maybe that was just a statement made to throw us for a loop. But in any case, right now, what we are seeing is that obviously XRP has a lot of support, not only from companies, but the whole idea of the XRP army, which possibly does hold the buying side up pretty heavy for XRP. In any case, Mike Novogratz is stating these are the reasons for XRP potentially underperforming this year. Also, speaking on the decentralization of XRP's distributed ledger, we have 150 known validators. 80% of them need consensus to confirm transaction. Ripple only controls 7 out of those 150 plus. So that's their statement of, hey, XRP is more decentralized than Bitcoin or Ethereum. But then again, it's to each their own and how they want to observe these facts, I guess. So moving forward, that's going to be it here for this XRP underperforming statement made by Novogratz. We have next up Telegram dropping a technical white paper here for blockchain, even though the SEC was trying to halt or is trying to halt the entire TON blockchain from taking place. We do know that the SEC has been pushing Telegram now for quite some time. under some, allegations that they sold unregistered securities during the pre-sale of its upcoming Gram tokens. And that hasn't stopped Telegram from pushing out a new white paper where they're detailing the block validation for the blockchain. So they are stating it's going to be a Byzantine fault-tolerant protocol custom built for proof of stake network. So just kind of the same statements that just kind of sell right now, with blockchains, the proof of stake, that kind of system that we've seen to work. Essentially, the new consensus protocol white paper will give these individuals a formalized understanding of what they've been testing. The consensus protocol is a central part of any blockchain, and it needs to be described for the further analysis of the blockchain and its code. The protocol hasn't changed since October, when the SEC essentially began to disrupt Telegram's plans for release. So right now, the protocol was tested in December 2018 and up to 300 nodes distributed all over the world. The TON blockchain is able to generate new blocks once every 4 to 5 seconds as originally planned. So it looks pretty modern for the methods that they're going to be using for the blockchain. They have some fail safes here. If a validator fails to come to consensus, how the round will be skipped, and then a new block is then committed. If no validators reach consensus for a few rounds, new validator election can resolve the deadlock. So just some kind of modern things that we've seen here with blockchains, and they're doing their best here to keep up and make sure that the TON blockchain is ready to go. We don't know yet what's going to be happening from their end in regards to an actual release or what we'll be having with the Grams token. But Telegram is stating essentially that the SEC's burden to prove that Grams will be securities is theirs, and not the defendant's burden to prove their technology works. So let's see where this all kind of plays out. This has been interesting. It has been drawn out, but hopefully we can see Telegram kind of push out of this whole mess and have their blockchain go public. Next up, we have Tezos futures trading now available on Binance. So again, Binance just continues to be obnoxiously in the news, not only from some of the new products that they're providing, but again, now with the futures contracts, they're adding now Tezos with a up to 50x leverage. So very good on Binance futures to continue to provide more products on this end, and allow risk takers to enjoy what they want to enjoy. So we saw Binance Future also announce contracts for Zcash and Dash, which underscores essentially how fast the exchange is expanding the list of its offerings. So I believe this is what's behind the current run-up from Tezos that we've seen today. I believe Tezos is at a 11.39% rise. So very good for Tezos and everybody that made some money off of that run. Next up, Ethereum developers reveal holdup with Serenity in Reddit AMA. So essentially they did an AMA here on the 5th of February where they covered some of the essential themes for the proof of stake upgrade that Ethereum is going to have in 2.0. They did specify that feature-wise, not a lot has changed since June, but it was a little bit too early to commit to the freeze fully. Right now, we are expecting the changes to the beacon chain that have been for the better, even though avoid invalid placeholder specs for phase 1, move unnecessary complexities to phase 1 when we actually need it, and polish what is there. So right now, they're working essentially on just on release right now for the code that they have on Ethereum 2.0. They don't want to delay all the way to 2021, as they are seeing that as a potential failure. But they're hoping to launch by July 30th, 2020, which is the 5th anniversary of Ethereum 1.0. So keep that in mind, guys. We have seen delays from them and whatnot, but it seems like Ethereum 2.0 is finally on the horizon, and people will be able to take advantage of proof of stake. Now, also keep in mind, Ethereum is up to 8%. Now, that may be the entire, market just moving positive, but I believe also it has to do with this news. Keep in mind that once proof of stake goes into place, Ethereum will require 32 Ethereums to be able to stake. So if you have been waiting to just kind of see if this is going to happen for real or how far out we might be from that, I think these are the last few affordable levels, I'd say, for Ethereum to kind of gather your 32 ETH if you don't even have one at this point, where you can then later stake. Because I believe the proof of stake is going to bring a lot of upside for Ethereum's price. So he does state that he has 95% confidence that they will launch in 2020. And by the way, the person stating this is Justin Drake, one of the main developers here for Ethereum's 2.0 project. So he is explaining why proof of stake is fairer than proof of work, and that is because you can buy tokens, lock tokens, perform duties, and gain X tokens. Right, so that's a big thing. Even though mining seems to be, Bitcoin's way and has been very beneficial, it does favor those that got early on into the hardware and buy in bulk, right? Right now, if you want to get into the mining business with Bitcoin, it's going to cost you quite a bit. So we are seeing some of the benefits here with proof of stake for Ethereum 2.0, and they did state that they are enthusiastic in regards to rollups, which is the zero knowledge rollups. If you are a dev that has been involved with Ethereum, you pretty much understand this a little bit better than myself right now. But essentially, he's spending a significant time of his own time on snarks. So the research for phases 0 and 1 are essentially done, and now we're moving on to possible transition into production. So the current plan is that Ethereum 1 will continue to run as a shard of ETH 2. This might be phased out once all the technology exists to make it an execution environment. So that's what came from the recent AMA on February 5th. The one before that was 6 months ago. So keep that information in mind. So moving on to the next article is stating, you will regret not buying Ethereum at $200, this trader says. This is from Josh Rager here on Twitter. He is a crypto trader and Twitter commentator, basically stating why Ethereum has is the great purchase at $200. So it's a $200 has been a psychological level for Ethereum for the last 5 months, but $200 is still a 85.88% on the down from its all-time high, which is 1,417. So long term, it could be a great buy. Long term, the rise of decentralized finance has also been big, and then the current news that we just heard from the AMA on Ethereum 2.0, it's really positioning Ethereum again for some upside potentially. Right now, we have some good indicators to kind of point us in that direction. Not only just Ethereum 2.0, the whole things that we've seen from MakerDAO, Compound, Dharma, the DeFi smart contracts. So that's making Ethereum massive demand for the collateral of those platforms. And we might see a stampede of investors start a price war over trying to accumulate the 32 Ethereum necessary to participate in staking on ETH2. So keep that in mind, guys. If we see this price just continue to skyrocket for Ethereum, it might just be people catching on to this, kind of starting to purchase their Ethereum and keep hold of it. Next up, we do have Back Crypto Exchange to buy out digital services provider. They're going to be purchasing here Bridge2 Solutions, and they're a provider of digital services such as loyalty programs and event tickets. So the reason why this is pretty big is because it's backed, which we know they currently have Bitcoin futures and other custody crypto solutions. So this is their move essentially to try to get into the consumer space, stepping out of that whole just an institutional level and now into the smaller guys. So this is going to bring a lot of possibilities because we know that Backed is supported by ICE, which ICE is the owner of the New York Stock Exchange. So very, very big news. And now Bridge2 Solutions is also used with big payment retailers like Amazon and some other ones. So we have seen other retailers being wary of joining the crypto space, but having backed as a as a point of contact here and facilitating all these payments with crypto to rewarding customers with Bitcoin and all that good stuff. This could be very big for the consumer space and retailers. So this is pretty interesting, guys. I remember thinking back to Bitcoin and the push that we wanted to see back in 2018, 2019. It was very dependent on what these smaller guys were doing. And it's just so amazing to be able to sit back and see these bigger companies just kind of go at it, right? And the same concept for the central banking digital coins. The nations that are battling within that sphere that are trying to get ahead of each other because they don't want to miss out. So if you've been in the market for a while and you took your positions early, I think you're going to be very happy to continue to hear this news. But yeah, that's going to be some of the advantages by Bridge 2 Solutions. We're going to see how that's going to play out over time. Just want to keep you guys in the loop. So here we're going to start getting into the crazy stuff. If what you already heard throughout the video wasn't exciting news already, some of the bigger things are going to be touched on this article and the next one. So crypto's .com era begins as Handshake launches decentralized domains. So you've heard it correctly, guys. Now we are going to be decentralizing the idea of domains, which have been essentially held by very small groups that control the .coms, the .orgs, and all that good stuff. Not only are we going to be able to have a protocol that is going to allow you to register your own domains, but you're going to be able to receive, let's call it tokens, for any subdomains that are written under yours. So if you have a .org domain that is on a decentralized mainnet here, and people are purchasing subdomains within that, you are going to essentially receive tokens, which is pretty interesting. So the way that it's broken down here, it's pretty complex, but just to keep it straight to the point, this has been a very long-awaited crypto project by MIT engineers. They spent last year essentially working it up, kind of keeping it from the public, but now they're ready to go public. So they're going to have the Handshake protocol and the name-based registrar, which are going to do kind of the things that I mentioned here. Handshake has gone live, and their waitlist did grow by 3 times over the past 2 weeks. People are buying and trading HNS, which is the coin that will be trading here for the name-based exchange. But what's excited people the most is that people are adding domains to their watch list. So in the coming week, they're going to open up the name-based, the general public, and enable anyone to trade HNS and buy Handshake domain names. So this is going to be pretty cool, guys. We're going to be able to start being able to trade these in a decentralized way. We know that the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers, ICANN, caught flack after agreeing to sell the rights to .org to a private equity firm. And so this is pretty much what's kind of initiated this movement, just being able to decentralize the concept of domain name system. So, or in other words, DNS. So this is going to be great, guys. Currently, if you wanted to buy any big domain, you'd have a $185,000 application fee to request a new top-level domain. And currently, applications for new top-level domains are currently closed. So it's a for-profit corporation, Verisign, that owns .com, and it's just, it just hasn't been all that great. So we know that DNS is also vulnerable to hacking and all that good stuff. And the decentralization concept with Handshake blockchain is going to bring a lot of perks, even to include making it pretty much hack proof, but we all know nothing is hack proof. So right now they're stating that their public blockchain is going to use a proof of work mining concept. So that'll be interesting to see. In the protocol, every peer validates and manages the DNS naming zone with economic incentives, ensuring a transparent name auction process. So just to kind of speed it up here, owners owners of registered domains can update or transfer their names using their own private keys, as well as being able to register .com and .org addresses. Users can select unique domains like .blank and accrue coins whenever other users register a subdomain to it. So yeah, kind of what we discussed here at the beginning of the article. And yeah, so in the next few months, you're going to be seeing new tools, products, partnerships that make Handshake domains more powerful and easier to use. And by the end of 2020, most people using Handshake won't even know it's powered by a blockchain, guys. And that's the biggest takeaway here, is that you want to put yourself in a position where you can possibly purchase some of these domains and essentially, accrue coins from people registering subdomains to it. So here we see an example of the exchange and how the tokens are being sold on the order book and all that good stuff. So yeah, just wanted to keep you guys in the loop of that one. And then the bigger piece of news here is that there's essentially a 100% confirmation that the Federal Reserve is going to be creating their FEDCoin. They're feeling pressure from not only Facebook, Libra, who, their statement is that Facebook has nearly 1/3 of the global population as their user base. And of course, this makes the possibility for quick adoption of Libra very real for them. Now, the reason why this isn't something to worry us that are already positioned in Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies is because cryptocurrencies are here to stay. So when people hear about Libra and it's just a stable coin, they're going to want to be interested, right, in the concept of deflationary coins and all that good stuff. So the big fear here is that the US dollar would lose on global control if it doesn't get digitized. So we had the Federal Reserve Governor, Brainard, speak in the Stanford Graduate School in regards to the Federal Reserve changing its attitude towards the possibility of a Fed digital currency. So this is it, guys. I don't think there's any other bigger news really that should confirm to anybody that's outside of the cryptocurrency space just how big the financial space is getting revolutionized with digital assets. So he essentially, he's just felt pressured from Facebook, Libra, and just to move it on forward, we do know that these central banks are also working their own way. They want their own digital finance tech. They want to be able to leverage their own assets. They don't want to be left behind in the old world of finance. And so that has forced the Federal Reserve to, do proper research and really look at use cases for digital currency. So don't be surprised when you hear the formal announcement of the FEDCoin, because this pretty much confirms that being the case. We have 40 countries around the world that have currently developed or are looking to develop their own digital currency, and the US dollar is trying to remain long-term as a adopted coin for trading and being the reserve of the federal bank. So they look like they will be taking up the project and develop the US dollar digital currency. So that is the biggest news that I think we've already heard. And again, guys, that's only how many days into the new year of 2020? Pretty big, right? So to close it up here, we're going to be moving into XRP. We have a new remittance provider that is powering 30 million transactions per year. It's going to be joining Ripple Payments Network. That is what seems to be behind XRP's earlier run-up. Right now, it's sitting at 28 cents, but it seemed like XRP was moving up pretty well. And currently, there's no information if Intermex is going to be settling with XRP itself as a bridge currency or if it's just going to be Ripple's payment network. But either way, MoneyGram has stated that 10% of transactions from the US to Mexico are using XRP. So hopefully, Intermex will continue to use will actually use XRP to bridge their remittances between the US and Mexico. So last up, we do have 3 crypto assets that surged more than 175%, beating Bitcoin, showing that the altcoin boom is here. And those are Dash and Zcoin. 181% and 179% respectively. We've also seen in the past month, Bitcoin Cash surged about 85.2%, followed by Litecoin and Cardano at 65.1% last month. Monero up 61%, EOS up 59%, Ethereum up 40%, Stellar up 36%, BNB up 33%, Bitcoin up 30%, and XRP 24.1%, guys. So if you didn't take anything away from this entire video, just take this away. Crypto is not going anywhere, and things are about to get pretty intense and crazy in this space this very year of 2020. So get excited, stay excited, share with everybody what you know about cryptos, get the word out there, because the bigger companies are doing it. They are creating their own infrastructures, so are other banks, central banks, and yeah, we're gonna just keep growing from here. So that's gonna honestly be it from me, guys. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and click that like button. You can comment down below. We can keep talking more about some of these articles and information, and sub to the channel so you can stay connected to the daily news that I'm covering, so I can keep you guys updated day to day and you can get on with your crypto day. I'll see you guys on the next one.